Hey everyone, my name is Carlton Herbert, and I wanted to walk you through what I've got put together for the Schematic design package. This is just kind of an overall site view with some surrounding context. You can see here, this is the Brooklyn site. So in the background, you can see the Brooklyn Naval Yard with some ships and also some of the surrounding buildings near our site. There's several that are fairly tall, 10 stories or so, and then also some that are just 1 or 2 stories that are closer to the site. There's also a lot of ferry parking areas around the site. You can see those kind of towards the ships as well. As far as the site context goes, our site is located in Brooklyn, which is a borough of New York City, and it's specifically located in the Brooklyn Navy Yard community, which is towards the very far north end. It is a very urban area, very developed. Specifically, our site is in a very industrial district, and so there's lots of industrial areas, maker spaces, shipyards, things like that. There's also lots of older buildings in the area. There's a rich history to the Brooklyn Navy Yard, which ties back to kind of the World War II era, at the height of kind of the shipbuilding in the area. And so some of the buildings are from that era, but there has also been a lot of fairly recent kind of redevelopment, revitalization projects going on. So there are some newer buildings as well. The environment of the site, it is located really close to the water, so it is at some risk of flooding, although not an extreme risk. But as things like climate change pose, several issues, and one of those being flood, and then also things like wind and wind speed with kind of the more erratic temperatures and temperature changes. Some path on our site is shown there, and it's going to get mostly a southern exposure. Most of the buildings nearby are fairly tall, but are not really too close to the building. So they aren't going to block a ton of the sun. So we'll have to look at some of the shading strategies to do that instead. Also, there's kind of a master plan for the whole area, and so this comes at a good time and to be designing a school for the area, with the community very involved in improving the surrounding area of the Brooklyn Naval Yard. Here is kind of the isometric views of my 3D massing. I looked at several different options, but I settled on this one here, which is supposed to kind of resemble the effect of maybe some stacked shipping containers with some voids in it, and then more rectangular forms, as well as some of the more industrial look to the front facade with a large shade structure that would be made out of steel beams in order to resemble something that you'd find back in the Brooklyn Naval Yard. Just a couple of exterior perspectives. It gives you a good view from the site. Flushing Avenue is the main road here that you would be coming from. And then there's lots of good pedestrian access, bike access. And so I've created this second story space here up on the second level. That would be a good community social space, as well as an interior space here where the facade is mostly windows to let in a lot of light. The idea here would be that would be a shared kind of public gallery or art space for the students as well as the local community. Here's a couple interior shots where you can see that community space with the large windows up to the top left, as well as some of the maker spaces in the bottom left. That was one of my main focuses here for this project, was to make this sort of a maker space school with lots of project-based learning and the ability for students to learn things like trades. There is a school in the area that is a high school that is a very academic high school. They very much push the typical school path, with a large focus on colleges and things like that. But I wanted to provide a space, particularly to tie back to the Brooklyn Naval Yard history, where things like industrial manufacturing and production are taught on more of a high school level, just so that the students have an opportunity to experience that. Here's a couple of protective section cuts as well, just to give you some good views through the space, and then as well as some of the diagramming. The site plan here shows the building towards the south end of the site on the left, and then the north end of the site to the right is going to be a large open kind of green space area. The main level here shows the makerspaces, all three of those being on the main level, and then some learning units around the perimeter, as well as the administration faculty setup being on the first floor. And the second floor here, you can see that the makerspaces continue, so they are 2-story height makerspaces, as well as this public showcase and art gallery kind of section that is connected to the outdoor community gathering space. And that one, as you can see, is also a 2-story volume. I wanted to split up the cafeteria and commons area into more of a kind of circulation area, to give students lots of places that they can sit and eat and hang out, and hopefully provide some more learning opportunities in circulation as well as the classroom. You can also see some learning units towards the bottom there have a connection to the outdoors. The idea here is just bringing in some natural learning experiences. Also here on this fourth level, which is the top level of the building, as far as the students' access goes, with this large reading and media section with kind of an indoor-outdoor feel, and then also some more learning units, and then one learning unit specifically focusing on kind of the views that they would get from that shade structure to the exterior. And then as well as a roof plan here, showing some of the skylights that I want to incorporate to give some light to that fourth floor. A couple elevations, just so you can see it on the site, as well as a few more. I want to make sure there's plenty of access up to that second story, so I want to incorporate stairs as well as ramps. And they will have to be pretty large, based on the low ADA slopes. And then also kind of on the bottom there in the west elevation, you can see the large roll-up doors that would be a part of the makerspace studio area. The idea there would be that they would be mostly windows, so that visitors and people around the site would be able to see in and see the work the students are doing. A couple sections through that, and the top one showing a good cut into that kind of art gallery student showcase area, and the bottom one showing a cut into kind of one of those maker spaces and some of the indoor-outdoor components in the upper levels. And then here's the programs for the site and the building, just broken up into learning units, collective spaces, support, and then some of the other spaces as well. And so you can see here just kind of floor by floor how it's put together as you go up. So yeah, thanks for taking a look.